Hey folks, Cornell here with Midlife Crits and Team B42, here to bring you the Protection Paladin overview for the talent trees and the Warmode talents as well. So let's go ahead and just jump on right in. At level 15, you've got Zeal, Righteous Verdict, and Execution Sentence. Zeal is a passive. Judgment empowers you with Holy Zeal, causing your next 3 auto attacks to occur 30% faster and deal an additional 132 holy damage. Righteous Verdict. Passive. Templar's Verdict increases the damage of your next Templar's Verdict by 15% for 6 seconds. And Execution Sentence. 3 Holy Power, 20-yard range, instant cast with a 20-second cooldown. Calls down the Light's punishment upon an enemy target, dealing 1,864 holy damage and increasing the target's holy damage taken from your attack by 20% for 12 seconds. Interesting. I would probably take Righteous Verdict. Level 30, you have Fires of Justice, Blade of Wrath, and Hammer of Wrath. Fires of Justice is a passive, reduces the cooldown of Crusader Strike by 15%, and grants it an additional 15% chance to make your next ability consume 1 less holy power. Blade of Wrath is a passive. Art of War resets the cooldown of Blade of Justice 100% more often, and increases its damage by 25%. Hammer of Wrath. 30-yard range, instant cast with a 6.5 second cooldown. Hurls a divine hammer that strikes an enemy for 1,429 holy damage, only usable on enemies that have less than 20% health or while you are empowered by Avenging Wrath. I would take Fires of Justice. Level 45, Fist of Justice, Repentance, and Blinding Light. These are the same we saw in the Protection and the Holy Paladin list as well, but I'm going to read these off again. Fist of Justice, passive. Each holy power spent reduces the remaining cooldown on Hammer of Justice by 2 seconds. This is the one that seems to be unique between each one, each having its own effect. Repentance, 400 mana, 30-yard range, 1.5 second cast with a 15 second cooldown. Forces an enemy target to meditate, incapacitating it for 1 minute. Usable on humanoids, demons, undead, dragonkin, and giants. Blinding Light, 320 mana, instant cast with a 1.5 minute cooldown. Emits dazzling light in all directions, blinding enemies within 10 yards, causing them to wander disoriented for 6 seconds. Non-holy damage will break the disorient effect. Fist of Justice is the choice. Level 60, Divine Judgment, Consecration, and Wake of Ashes. Wake of Ashes is actually a carryover from your artifact in Legion. Divine Judgment, passive. Each enemy hit by an ability that consumes holy power increases the damage of your next judgment by 20%, stacking up to 15 times. Nice. Consecration, instant, 20-second cooldown. Consecrates the land beneath you, causing 1,827 holy damage over 6 seconds to enemies who enter the area. Generates 1 holy power. Wake of Ashes, instant with a 45-second cooldown. So this is your big spend, your big part of your rotation that you use to try and just get that damage out there. Lash out at your enemies, dealing 2,641 radiant damage to all enemies within 12 yards in front of you and reducing their movement speed by 50% for 5 seconds. Demon and undead enemies are also stunned for 5 seconds. Generates 5 holy power. That's a full stack of holy power. But again, has a 45-second cooldown. So it's one of those skills that you need to time its use very, very carefully. And that is what I'm choosing on this tier. Level 75, you have Cavalier, Unbreakable Spirit, and Eye for an Eye. Cavalier, passive. Divine Steed now has 2 charges. We saw this in the Protection group as well. Unbreakable Spirit, passive. Reduces the cooldown of your Divine Shield, Shield of Vengeance, and Lay on Hands by 30 seconds. We saw that in the Holy. Eye for an Eye. Instant cast, 1 minute cooldown. Surround yourself with a bladed bulwark, reducing physical damage taken by 35%, and dealing 410 physical damage to any melee attackers for 10 seconds. I'd probably take Unbreakable Spirit. Level 90, Selfless Healer, Justicar's Vengeance, and Word of Glory. Selfless Healer, passive. Your holy power spending abilities reduces the cast time of your next flash of light by 25% and increases its healing done by 10%. Stacks up to 4 times, so up to 40%. Justicar's Vengeance, 5 holy power, melee range, instant cast. Focuses holy energy to deliver a powerful weapon strike that deals 1,398 holy damage and restores health equal to the damage done. Damage is increased by 50% when used against a stunned target. And finally, Word of Glory, 3 holy power, 40-yard range, instant cast with a 1-minute recharge. Heals a friendly target and the 2 most injured targets within 30 yards for 6,716 damage. I would probably take Justicar's Vengeance. And level 100, you have Divine Purpose, Crusade, and Inquisition. Divine Purpose. Passive. Your abilities that consume holy power have a 15% chance to make your next ability that consumes holy power free and deal 20% increased damage and healing. Crusade replaces Avenging Wrath. Is an instant cast with a 2-minute cooldown. Call upon the light and begin a crusade, increasing your damage done and haste by 3% for 25 seconds. Each holy power spent during crusade increases damage done and haste by an additional 3%, maximum of 10 stacks, up to a 30% increase. Inquisition, 1 to 3 holy power instant, consumes up to 3 holy power to increase your damage done and haste by 8%. Lasts 15 seconds per holy power consumed. Says up to 45 seconds with 3 holy power. Didn't mean to zoom in. That is what I'm going to go ahead and choose there. And of course, these 3 that we have seen before, I like adaptation. And in the general war mode PvP talents, you've got Luminescence, Unbound Freedom, Holy Ritual, Vengeance Aura, Blessing of Sanctuary, Seraphim's Blessing, Lawbringer, Divine Punisher, Hammer of Reckoning, Jurisdiction, Law and Order, and Cleansing Light. Law and Order. Sorry, I'm a geek. Luminescence, passive. When you are healed by an ally, all nearby allies within 20 yards are also healed for 20% of that amount. Unbound Freedom, passive. Blessing of Freedom also increases movement speed by 30%. Holy Ritual, passive. Allies are healed for 1,199 when you cast a blessing spell upon them, and healed again for 1,199 when the blessing ends. Vengeance Aura, passive. When you or nearby allies with your greater, whenever you or your near or nearby allies with your greater blessings within 4 yards become victim to a full loss of control effect, your holy damage and critical strike is increased by 4% for 10 seconds, stacks up to 4 times. That would be great in some really hectic PvP battlegrounds. I can see that being fun in Warsong Gulch. Blessing of Sanctuary, 40-yard range, instant cast with a 45-second cooldown. Instantly removes all stun, silence, fear, and horror effects from the friendly target and reduces the duration of future such effects by 60% for 5 seconds. Seraphim's Blessing. When you or nearby allies within 40 yards drop below 40% health, your next flash of light cast within 5 seconds is instant with 50% increased healing. This effect cannot occur more than once every 15 seconds. Lawbringer, passive. Judgment now applies Lawbringer to initial targets hit for 45 seconds. Casting Judgment causes all enemies with your Lawbringer effect to suffer up to 5% of their maximum health and holy damage. I like that one. Divine Punisher, passive. Casting 2 consecutive judgments on the same enemy will generate 3 holy power. Oh, I like that one too. Hammer of Reckoning, 30-yard range, instant, 52-second cooldown. When you or allies with your greater blessings take damage, you gain Reckoning. Consume 50 stacks of Reckoning to hurl a magical hammer that strikes an enemy for 2,609 holy damage, and you gain Avenging Wrath for 6 seconds. That's interesting as well. Jurisdiction. Increase the range of your Hammer of Justice by 10 yards. Law and Order. 30-yard range, instant cast with a 52-second cooldown. When you or allies with your greater blessings take damage, you gain Reckoning. Consume 50 stacks of Reckoning to hurl a magical hammer that strikes an enemy for 2,609 holy damage, and you gain Avenging Wrath for 6 seconds. So, it's a little bit of a different way to activate Reckoning. That's interesting. And finally, Cleansing Light. Replaces Cleanse Toxin. 520 mana, instant cast 4-second cooldown. Cleanse allies within 15 yards, removing all poison and disease effects. So, my choices will be Divine Punisher, Lawbringer, and we'll do Jurisdiction. Alright, so that concludes our coverage of the Retribution Paladin. Look forward to our other class overviews, or to keep with this playlist and you'll see the rest of our class previews that we have done so far. For Midlife Crits, this is Cornell, and also for Team B42. To those sitting there, I say, let's go, baby, and we'll see you on the couch.